Ladies and gentlemen, special guest what this is via satellite?
Via Starlink.
We have Mr. Marc Lahood. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing, bro?
Trinity alumni like myself.
Shout out.
You know, we go way back, and it's cool that we get to cross paths. Not only like, hey man, I'm checking out your comedy show. I love what you're doing, but also, man, every time I'm in San Antonio, I see Marc's billboards and his signage and everything. So let everybody know what you're running for.
Yeah, thanks. Like I said, my name is Marc Lahood. I'm running for Bexar County Criminal District Attorney. It's the chief law enforcement prosecuting officer here in Bexar County.
How is crime? What is that like in San Antonio?
Are you trying to give me a softball or what?
No, I mean, I'm really curious because obviously I'm from a big blue city and you know, Houston. It's no secret, like, bro, it's very diverse and it's very crowded and there's a lot of traffic. You know, San Antonio has always been like at a little bit different type of pace. But of course, you know, I be seeing druggies and stuff out there. So I'm just curious, how does that affect y'all's crime?
All kidding aside, two things have been going on the last, 3-4 years. Crime is going through the roof. And then on the flip side, the DA's office isn't prosecuting, they're not handling it. And so people are committing more crimes, they're getting away with it, which then people commit more crimes. In my humble opinion, I think it's common sense. Like I tell people, my kids, the same logic that applies to my kids applies to everything. Actions have consequences and accountability. And once we take that away, as humans, our behavior gets worse.
Yeah, and then we're stuck in this situation. So midterms are right around the corner. What's the vibe like, man? How's the energy and the momentum out there?
Man, the vibe is off the chart. So, even in the primary, we've been focusing on the general. And so we've been north, south, west, east, inner city, outer city. Doesn't matter what your color, race, or whatever. Everyone's number one priority is public safety. The $1 million question is, what is the idea on how to get there? But we have talked with thousands of Democrats that are tired of the soft on crime policies. I mean, I'm Hispanic. I've been talking to Hispanics, blacks, people of traditional lifestyles or origins understand that when your kids mess up, we punish them. As adults, when we mess up, there has to be some sort of accountability. There has to be some sort of, reaction to it. And they're just seeing it go through the roofs, bro. I mean, they're fed up.
When I did some stand-up comedy at that event for Texas Latino Conservatives, you were in the house, and it was interesting to talk to everybody there and what people were saying, like, hey, San Antonio has an opportunity to be like a red city in a red state, just to kind of see, hey, like, I'm very curious, like, I've never seen a Republican mayor in Houston, but like if we were to get one, what are they really able to change? Because obviously a lot of our problems are like federal, like with the border and stuff like that. Or you have like, the school districts, which is, I guess, like a super local type of thing. Do you think San Antonio is ready to give Republicans a shot?
Yeah, without a doubt we are. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you did your video, and I texted you, said that you gave me the courage, the motivation to kind of step forward and take out. But the reality is, if we focus on our values, I don't care what our politics are. Most people share the same values. We want to be able to go to work safely, make $1, buy goods, our kids to be safe, to be able to go to school safely. We might disagree on how we get there, but if we focus on those common values, and because what I found is this, talking to people, I'm not ashamed, right? My signage says Republican, my shirt says Republican, but I don't beat that down their throats. I just focus on what I value, what I believe, and that's a value system that a lot of us share. And if we do that, I have no doubt we have the opportunity to have a Republican mayor. Well, I guess not a Republican mayor because technically the seat is nonpartisan, but a conservative leaning mayor.
Yeah.
Hey, Marc, this is producer Rob. I'm off camera right now. I'm going to have a question for you, but are you on your laptop or phone by chance? Because we're getting email sounds. Maybe you have notifications on your device.
Sorry, I'm on my laptop. I don't have a fancy.
No, no worries, no worries. I just didn't want the sound to interrupt any of the things you were saying because it was really good. I know you're probably getting flooded with emails.
Sorry, I don't know how to turn that.
Okay,
I'm
no
not.
worries.
Yeah.
If it doesn't bother
My
you,
daughter's the brains when it comes to computers.
no worries. If it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother us. What are you hearing
Like
from the?
pagers.
Yeah, what are you hearing from the younger voters in the area? Like, how are their perspectives maybe shifting?
So that's the difference. It's definitely a culture war, and not a culture war, but it's definitely a different perspective, right? So you have what I call the old school and the new school, and it's not their fault, but it's that I blame the parents and society because you don't know what you don't know. And so if we're not raising our children to have a set of common core values, whether it's hard work or caring for people or just being involved with other people, I tell my oldest daughter, when I was a kid, 9, 10 years old, I'd go out, play all day. I knew more of my neighbors as a 9 or 10 year old than most of my friends know now. I mean, because we don't go out and walk, hey, you're a new neighbor. Hey, here's a housewarming gift. Come over to the house. Like we don't have this interconnection. And I really believe that loss, when COVID started, I really dismissed it because my daughter had an iPhone. I'm thinking, oh, she has FaceTime. That counts. But I really saw a deterioration like in her. God, I'm sorry, guys.
You're good.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
But without that human contact, and I really think we think we're more connected because we can talk, but there's no substitute for seeing somebody, watching their body language, being able to pat them on the back or hug or just that human connection. I believe that we need that, and so that's the biggest disconnect I'm seeing with the younger generation. But once they start getting a little older, once they start, paying bills and paying taxes and realizing that there's actually consequences, nothing is free. Something always has a cost, whether you pay it now or you pay in the back end, we're all going to pay for it. Once we realize it, then we start waking up. And it's like this unfortunately trial by fire learning process.
Yeah, man, I can attest. Mark is old school. Like he because we went to college together, so he's definitely the type of dude to be like, hey man, let's get an understanding, like eye to eye, like just really good, just those types of values, and that's some Sananto shit. That's when you born and raised in the 210. you old school. When it's time to apply pressure, you old school. And you know what? I can attest to what he said. Like the devices. The lie was we're going to be more interconnected with big tech, social media. And you're absolutely right, man. All the new school is disconnect. So we recently moved into a new neighborhood or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to give these neighbors 2 weeks because they would just drive by and they would drive by. And it's like it's only one block. It's only like 12 houses in that little thing. Or however many, maybe 20 at most. And I'm like, I done seen this car, I done seen this person, and I'm waving and I'm good morning, buenos dias, and maybe we seem like we're the ghetto ones because like my daughters, they play all in the street with their the power wheels, and they put their speakers so you hear Bad Bunny and all that. but maybe I'm old school and I was just like really longing for they're gonna welcome us. They're going to come stop by and say, hello, hey, we have kids, you have kids. Hey, we stay over here. I drive the white SUV, da-da-da-da-da. And no, it just happened I almost had to force it. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we're the new family. Hey.
They didn't approach you first?
Not really. I mean, we had to meet like the HOA guy. And then the next door neighbor's really cool because the lady who lived in our house before, I guess he worked for her and all this stuff. So it was little favors like, hey, there's going to be some laptops arriving. Can you give them to the neighbor? And she told us too, we have this arrangement where we'll take out each other's trash can to the curb on trash day. Just whoever gets to it first. And then if you could return it. So it's like this little game of like who can. So, oh man, you got me. Oh man, you beat me to it.
That's nicer in most neighborhoods.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're absolutely right, man. Like, that might be a cool angle in terms of when you're going out persuading and talking to people. It's like, hey, man, we got to get back to the basics and just
community,
the old school values. Yeah.
Mark, I got a question too. When it comes to, again, the younger kids, do you have a lot of them that are wanting to volunteer and be a part of these campaigns that are going on currently?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually been blessed. Our campaign has had a steady flow of probably anywhere from 10 to 20 volunteers that, whether it's phone banking, whether it's block walking, that just get out and do it, and I tell them, I said, I feel like a hypocrite because I voted since I was 18, but I never did anything else. And I was proud to vote. I mean, voting is important, but I never got off my butt, never volunteered, never did anything else. And seeing these younger kids that have energy, that don't have herniated discs and torn knees, getting out and getting involved. I mean, I have hope. I really do. Maybe I'm an optimist, but I believe that the fight is real. We're going to win this fight, and it's just a matter of not resigning, not getting apathetic, not getting complacent, and just saying, "Hey, this is what's important." Because, I don't care whether it's the presidency or it's the mayor or whatever it is. I think at the end of the day, it's all about our future, whether it's our kids. If we don't have kids, we're probably building a business to carry on some kind of legacy. It's about tomorrow. Like, why do you plant a tree? I'll be dead before 40 years. You plant it for the next generation. And so I think if we focus on that, that's kind of the way to go. I don't know how I got on that sidetrack.
Yeah, no, that's good.
It's a good message, though.
Yeah, absolutely. In other words, we have to kind of look ahead because it is a long battle in terms of, what direction is this country headed in? I mean, our communities, it's like everyone's so afraid of speaking up and stating the obvious of like, hey, like you said in the beginning, there's got to be consequences and we got to hold people accountable. So if you're acting a fool on the VIA bus, what are we going to do? Just everyone looks away, allows, and there's just no security, no safety. Like, not only like our future and our kids, but we have like our elderly. Yeah. Out here in Houston, bro, like they'll rob your grandma Saturday morning at CVS 10 a.m.
100%.
And kill her. Like on top of that.
Like in Boston where the lady was stabbed at a Taco Bell in a wheelchair.
I mean, just all kinds of stuff. And everybody's so afraid to like say, we have a problem and we got to get real and we got to get tough. So when you get elected, obviously that position deals directly with, crime, versus the people that are in now. They're soft on crime. Can you explain to the audience and everybody in San Antonio who will be voting in the midterms, when you go in day one and first 100 days, like how do you systematically go through and rectify and fix?
That's a mouthful. I don't want to talk too much, but so there's a couple of issues going on with the office right now. One is a philosophy or an ideology, and then one's an execution. So like right now there's 27 vacancies. So that means there's more than 27 prosecutors that have quit, but they can't fill 27 vacancies. Two, there's a morale issue and the prosecutors demoralize. Three, they're losing 6, 7, 8 out of 10 trials. I mean, it should be the inverse. I mean, the DA's office should be winning 8, really 9 out of 10 trials, not losing 6, 7, 8. And so it's a combination of a couple of things. One, first and foremost, we can't forget the DA's office is law enforcement. The police officers and the DAs are two sides of the same coin. The police work it up. They give the work product, the prosecution guide, to the DA's office, and you prosecute that. So we have to have a good working relationship. Two, politics, religion, personal opinion doesn't belong in justice, right? Like we have a penal code, we have statutes, we elect our legislatures to create the law. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal, in my humble opinion, for any person to say, I'm going to ignore what everyone's done, what we've elected, because I don't like X, Y, and Z. So we have to enforce the laws that are on the books. And if the laws change, we deal with it and we enforce those new laws or not. We don't do what we want. And then three, we have to get back to focusing on what matters. I mean, everything in my life is an analogy, right? So I'm sure you've met somebody that takes care of strangers, but they ignore their family. And I think that's what we're doing right now is we're going out of our way to accommodate criminals, and we are ignoring the law-abiding citizens, the family owners, the small business owners. We have to get back to holding the criminals accountable, getting justice for the victims, and then we do that with leadership. So like on day one, I've heard from multiple prosecutions. The first 4 weeks that Joe took office, he had a weekly meeting and said, just randomly, I can fire you because you're an at-will employee. I don't like your tie. Like just instilling this idea of fear. You don't run an office with fear. I mean, you can, right? But it's better to lead them with excitement, with support, with mentorship. These kids don't know how to evaluate a case. And so first 100 days, change the ideology, and then lead with example. And so our chiefs have to show up. I have to show up. All of our staff has to show up and get into trenches, roll our sleeves up, and get to work and show them how to evaluate, how to handle these cases. Because there's no magic bullet. It's hard work, perseverance, creative ideas, and collective ideas of the whole community.
And I love San Antonio so much. I mean, talk about a second home. I lived there for 5 years. And Mark, you were at I forget which night you and your wife went to the show, but San Antonio shows so much love. Okay, Thursday was a little light. I was scared. even one of the waitresses was like, "What's up? Where's all your people?" I thought it was gonna be sold out, and I was like, "Nobody stays hot forever." But I love San Antonio, and San Antonio is so beautiful. I mean, just the people. It just has so much. I don't want to say the word potential because it's the shit already, but just the idea of, okay, there's a few little scratches and blemishes. We're gonna bring her up. I'm personifying San Antonio like it's a female, right? But it's like we have to protect San Antonio. And then also what came to mind while you were speaking, because you're a family man, beautiful family, and as you talk about like the community and the future and the crime and the youth, I just pictured I was like, okay, I know jiu-jitsu gyms are not political. A place where somebody who's running for office comes and, hey guys, just want to talk to you and get you a flyer. But a lot of these gyms, like Henzo Gracie, is actually 3 doors down from the Bexar County Democrats office. They're actually 3 doors down, FYI. And then you have a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, but I think that might be outside of Bexar County. I don't know. That's like a Universal City, Judd. What is it, Judson?
Okay.
I think it's over there. So I don't know, but they have kids classes and stuff, and martial arts is one of those things where it's about perseverance, patience, rolling up your sleeves, hard work, and keeping kids out of trouble. And I personally just can't wait to see this vision of San Antonio, where we get to clean up some of the stuff, because let's be honest, there's some rough spots where it's kind of like, you don't want your grandma going down that street too late. That's just a reality, man.
Well, it's sad. I've been hitting some of these neighborhoods where I'm block walking, and a couple of the people answer doors are like, "I'm surprised you're here. You're not scared?" And I'm thinking, what world do we live in that we think that's normal? I mean, I understand that crime, bullies, predators are always going to look on the victims. Like we're talking about the elderly, they're always going to prey on the weak. And so that's why we need a good sheepdog that's not afraid to go out there. But we can't be resigned to that. Like the moment that we say, "Oh, this is the bad part of town," we've accepted that. That's the wrong idea. We have to put our resources and focusing on being proactive with it to try and always stamp it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want to write down that line. That was a hell of a line. The criminals will prey on the weak.
We need a sheepdog
who's willing to stand up and protect San Antonio.
That's a great line. That's a great slogan.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I thought what you were going to say when she's like, I'm so surprised that you're not afraid to be here. Are they going to say, "Hey, this is my barrio. This is from my mom's side, my familia."
This commercial brought to you by Marc Lahood. Mark, so I got a question too. When it comes to everybody, post lockdown and everything, there's a lot. I'm hearing a lot of younger people who are also getting pretty black-pilled in the sense of being a little more nihilistic and kind of like things can't get better. What are some of the things you can maybe tell them of how to look on the brighter side and where to actually maybe make an effort to change things?
Well, I guess first and foremost, not to be negative, but I could tell my oldest daughter, my wife and I try to give her advice, and she's, "Oh, you don't know, Dad. You don't know, Mom." I'm thinking, baby, things don't change. I mean, we've all been there, done it. You learn the hard way. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how smart our wisdom is. We only learn through pain. I think it's human nature, whether it's emotional, financial, or physical. We have to learn trial by fire. But the good news is whatever pain we're going through, someone else has been through it, and survived it and overcome it. The hardest thing for me to accept is that all of my growth, or most of the growth that happened in my life, happened as a result of pain, whether it was, traumatic or personal. But that's the only way we learn. Like you could be the best basketball player or the most, talented, and you have the worst form and you keep making it. But it's not until you lose that championship game that you think, "Oh, I gotta work on my form." Mm-hmm. That's the only way we grow. And so as much as it hurts right now, we have to have friends because our friends help pick us up when we're down, and then we just persevere through it. And then pass it forward. Try and share that wisdom with others, because that's what I think it's all about, is what can I do for others? Like you're talking about your neighbor. If we all had the idea of I'm going to outdo you on kindness, we're always going to be just helping each other out. But on the flip side, we got to always have our hand ready on the hammer, that when someone tries to come out, not be afraid to put the force when we need to. It's a fine balance.
Hey, next time your daughter says, "Dad, you don't understand, you don't know," just be like, "Mija, I used to run the streets with Chingo Bling."
Slinging tamales. Like, okay, Dad. Okay, Boomer. She's gonna say.
Yeah. It was a Sunday night hip hop show, and everybody was cruising military.
I'm trying to get her on board. I finally turned her into a Cowboys fan, but she won't be a Spurs fan. She's into Golden State. Breaks my heart.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Marc, talking about the young kids again. Before we start recording, you were explaining to us your position and kind of the differences. So I guess just for the audience sake, if some of them are a little younger and aren't familiar with the DA or maybe your specific role, can you explain it to them?
Yeah, so the criminal district attorney is the chief prosecuting, the chief law enforcement officer. So police officers make arrests, they work the cases up, but at the end of the day, if the DA chooses not to prosecute something, then nothing's going to happen from it. One of the things that got me in the race, for instance, on day one, Joe stopped prosecuting PG1 drugs less than a gram, or less than a quarter of a gram. I want to be fair. And so just so y'all know, PG1 is cocaine, heroin, meth, crack cocaine, fentanyl. And, I don't know if y'all or anyone else, watching this has family or friends that have ever dealt with those type of drug addictions, but they're deadly, they're destructive. My uncle, God rest his soul, was a heroin addict. And I know this, that I don't care what our philosophy is, whether it's you're a hardliner or you're into rehabilitation or you're into mercy or whatever. Not that those are incompatible, but if you don't do anything, if you reject it completely, you're not helping them, you're not helping society. It's so important that the DA doesn't take their personal opinion or their politics or use it as a bully pit for whatever agenda they have. I tell people it's so important because we want to make sure that we take the charge, we take the evidence, and we take the history of the person and use that to make our judgment. Because, you don't want to be in El Paso or Laredo or Dallas or Houston or Amarillo. It's all in Texas. We expect the laws to be equally applied throughout the state. But right now, what y'all are doing in Houston is different than what we're doing here. It's different than El Paso, different than Laredo. And it's thinking, well, I don't know what the heck. It's not, there's no fairness. There's no uniformity. There's no justice. And so it's so important that we get someone that has the courage to protect everyone, not because they like them, not because they agree with them, but because it's our job to protect everyone and everybody, all our property here in Bexar County. So that's what this job is so important, because if not, once we show that sign of weakness, man, they're going to exploit it. And we're seeing it. I'm sure y'all are seeing it too. But I'm talking to officers all over the county and the city. They're saying the criminals are telling them, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to get out before you finish your paperwork. And when they know that there's weakness, man, they smell that blood in the water, that they're going to come out for blood.
Facts. So you said this person who's in now, what's his name?
Joe Gonzalez.
Joe?
He who shall not be named. Yeah, okay. Joe Gonzalez.
Okay, yeah. So, but we want to also shed light on some of the stuff that's affecting people, because sometimes people, they get intimidated by political type things, and I don't like getting involved. No, it's too divisive, and da. But you said PG1. If they have less than a gram, it's
quarter gram.
They get slap on the wrist.
Not even slap on the wrist. They won't get arrested. They won't get charged. Well,
and that includes fentanyl.
If they get arrested, they get rejected. It gets dismissed.
And that includes
an ounce of marijuana. And so in practice, on paper, it's a quarter gram or less. On practice, it's more than a quarter gram. On paper, it's an ounce of marijuana. In reality, it's more than an ounce. And an ounce is a good little sack, allegedly. Graffiti, theft of services, criminal trespassing. Made most famous with the homeless population that's coming out and defecating in people's yards and stealing. I mean, there's a whole list of charges that are just being completely rejected. And we wonder, well, I don't wonder, but some people wonder why it's going through the roof.
And they're like, it must be Vladimir Putin.
It's Putin's fault.
Yeah. So you said people would defecate in people's yards?
Well, yeah. So like like for instance, on San Pedro, the old CPS building, they now turned into an illegal alien detention center. And so the people are just getting processed and released into the neighborhoods. And I've talked to homeowners and business owners, all the way from Attlebridge Guns to the homeowners behind it and around it. And these people are coming out there. I mean, they don't have a home. They don't have a place to stay. They're not getting put up. And so they still got to go to the bathroom. Guess where you got to go? We got to go. So, I mean, literally people are cleaning up human crap. They're having stuff stolen. I mean, there's real world consequences to our inaction. And what frustrates me is, we said it earlier, take care of us first. It's not cruel. If I only have $100 to buy food and I have to choose between buying food for my family or buying for somebody else, I don't think it's cruel to take care of my family first. Bear County is our family. Mm-hmm. Our priority should be taking care of us first before we prioritize somebody else. I don't think that makes me evil. I think that makes me a good steward of my family.
Now, I ain't. That's great. I love that, absolutely. Now I ain't no snitch, and I have some complaints. When I was in San Antonio, for example, one time I had to land. I landed late in the San Antonio airport, and the amount of refugees, I don't know what we got to call these folks, undocumented, illegal, whatever. They were from somewhere else, and they were walking around like, hey, like, where's the snack machine? Like in Spanish and stuff. And I was like, oh, because see, I landed late, and everybody's trying to charge their phone, and people are like camping out in a way. And I'm like, oh, okay, I've got my luggage, and I'm waiting for my ride. I guess that's what they're doing. And then it finally snapped, like, oh, these people are putting on those late night flights. Then I got to talking to the airport employees, like, hey, man, how many refugees y'all been getting? They're like, too many, bro. And then they tell you, like, yeah, a couple weeks from now, we're expecting a huge amount and yada, yada. This was probably about maybe 8 months ago or something. And then we were staying near the LOL Comedy Club, right? And that's not that far from, what is that, North Park Mall? What is the name of that mall?
Yeah, North Park Mall.
So I'm like, okay, I went to school here. I'm good. I'm safe. I know where I'm at. And then you go to that Quick Trip around 11:30 in the evening, and it's like Walking Dead, zombies, and these little Quick Trip employees are like, sir, you're not allowed to be in here. Oh, why not? It's like, because you never pay for your stuff. And I'm just in there like, yo, and I'm talking to the cashier, and he's like, oh, come at 2 a.m. if you really want to see a show. So I'm thinking to myself, bro, I'm right by North Park Mall. I'm by the LOL Comedy Club. I'm on 281 and 410 North. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then some of my friends that are local, they're just like, well, if you go that way, it's more unsavory.
Well, now we know whose fault that is.
No, it's everywhere. My son goes to, I won't say the school, but it's, Huebner, Vance Jackson. And I dropped him off at 8 a.m. I pull in. There's a mom by the front door. She looks really agitated. Another mom and her daughter are standing by their car. They look really, worked up. So I start looking around like, what's going on? And this guy stumbles out. This is 8 a.m. Stumbles out from behind the car, starts walking towards the front of the school. So I get out and hey, bro, what are you doing here? You have a kid here. He's frothy. He's aged out of his mind. He's obviously high as a kite. And I can see they're calling 911. So I get him off the property, but there's no such thing as a part of town where it's not affecting us. I mean, that guy was homeless, high on heroin, trying to walk into a school. And I'm not going to pretend he was there for any nefarious reasons, but the reality is I can't speak for anyone else, but I'll be damned if I'm okay with a heroin addict, high as a kite, walking to my kid's school or trying to, just because they're high as a kite. Like we need to do something, because that's ridiculous. And that's at 8 a.m. So you better believe at 8 at night or midnight or 2 a.m. I mean, it's just, it's turning into, you said Walking Dead, bro. You couldn't think of a better example, because sadly, when you're all whacked out on this stuff, you're not the same person. You're out of it. You don't even know half the things, what you're doing half the time, remember them. It's just, it's terrifying what's happening out there. It's terrifying.
A couple of minutes ago, Chingo mentioned something that we've been hearing since we started the show almost 2 years ago now. But people that, I don't want to get involved, or the politics, or esto y el otro, they just don't want to. Who made it so common and cool to just not be involved with your community, actions?
I hate to say it, our parents. I mean, I was always raised, you don't talk politics, you don't talk religion. It's not polite, right? It's too personal. And I think that's part of the reason why we're in the mess that we're in, right? Because like I said, I've been voting, I'm 44, I've been voting since I was 18. So what is that? I don't know, 26 years. I can't do math, but a long time. And it wasn't until during the re-election that I said, you know what? We're in this problem because we've always just sat back and said, surely they're going to wake up and see the truth. But I think it's Goebbels, Rummel, one of the two, the big lie. If you tell a lie big enough and you tell it often enough, people are going to believe it. And so conservatives or Republicans sit back and don't message correctly and have allowed them to distort and steal the messaging. And we've stayed on the sidelines. And so what we have to do is say, look, there's nothing wrong with speaking our opinion. I mean, I've talked with people that are completely politically opposed to me on this campaign trail, and I haven't gotten an argument with a single one of them because I talk to them with dignity, respect, facts. I don't get emotional. I'm just, hey, man, if you don't agree, cool. It's a free country. Don't agree. If you like what we got, cool. Vote for, say the same. But if you're tired of it, if you want change, if you want to vote your values or what the reality is, I just real common sense, approach. My pop always raised us that you can tell someone to kick rocks, hit the street, and they'll thank you for it if you do it the right way. And it's just, I think what we need to focus on our youth and our party or our people is being right isn't all of it, right? Because you can be right, but hammer someone over the head and they're gonna push back. It's also how we talk to people. And I think if we focus on that, we're gonna bring a lot more people in, especially the Latinos, man, because we're Hispanic as a culture. We don't mean Hispanic. We're conservative as a culture. We don't realize it yet because we're being flooded with the messaging. And if we get away from the messaging and just focus on the core values, man, we're gonna wake up a whole new generation of activists and voters and patriots.
You can tell people, hey, if you want crackheads in the school parking lot at 8 a.m, hey. Do what you want to do.
It's true, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure y'all are seeing it in Houston. I mean, Houston's got problems right now also, man.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all's DA is the same mindset, right? Like not prosecuting.
Helena Hidalgo. I mean, obviously Beto O'Rourke, he probably has his grand scheme of trying to California, Texas, and grab the guns and do all kinds of weird stuff. But yeah, no, it's very. I mean, we're looking like Chicago over here right now. And Rob actually lives like more in the outskirts, so he it's just the wind and the cows.
Hell yeah, that's how I like it.
No crackheads, no meth heads. So
not yet.
It's like they're like in the part of The Walking Dead where it's like they're still safe.
They haven't come out there yet.
They got supplies. Yeah. The zombies haven't.
Trying to keep it that way, man.
The zombies haven't made it.
How dare you?
Hey, man. Well, hey, we're gonna be force multipliers, and we're gonna amplify your message. And we just gotta keep it old school. We need a sheepdog, and we gotta be adults. And this is for the youth and the kids and some of the weaker folk in our communities. And I can't wait to see San Antonio just to be as strong and as beautiful as she could possibly be.
That's right, Mark. Tell everybody where they can follow you. Tell them where they can follow you and keep in touch with the campaign.
Oh, thank you. So follow us on Facebook. We have a website, Marc Lahood, markwithac.com. Most importantly, I can't stress this enough. If y'all are unhappy with the direction that we're in, unhappy with the crime, unhappy with people getting away with it, we need to change it. And talking is cheap. You have to get off your butts, go out to the polls, get your friends, get your family to vote. That's the only way we're going to make a difference. So thank y'all so much for having me. I really appreciate it, brother.
Vote Lahood in San Antonio's midterm elections coming up very, very soon. MarcLahood.com. That's Marc with a C.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you all.
Good talking to you.
Take care.
Take care, buddy.